the EU and the NA. It is already Method Black on the side of Europe, but we are down to our top 3 teams in North America. And next up, it's going to be Storm going against the boys. Who do you think is going to take it, Seiko? Before we even went live, you just said, ask me for predictions. I'm right every time.
I'm ready, dude. Who do I think will take it? I think we're going to see the matchup that we just saw in the finals, and I think we're going to see the boys take it, the whole tournament. There's my predictions for everything.
You think the boys are going
I think the boys are going to win in the lower final, and then I think the boys are going to win in the final.
Game 7.
Final. Yes, and we will go to Game 7.
What's the final map going to be?
The final map is going to be...
Oh my goodness, if you get this. Hook point. Wait, write it down.
It's
what
going to
is it?
be Mogambala.
I threw my pen at Super
I'm
T's
ready
like an hour ago.
Yeah, you're not getting it back. You're not getting it back.
pen.
Have we seen Mugambala one time?
No, that's why it's going to be the last map.
This
because
whole
there's
weekend.
gonna be 0 maps left to
Wait,
pick, and then someone's
the
gonna
entire weekend we haven't seen Mugambala once, right?
Not once. I think this whole season.
We haven't seen it a single time. This whole season being only 3 days long.
Yeah.
So, yeah. we have not
This weekend.
It sounds more dramatic.
The thing is, that's like some stuff I would say. Yeah, I think ultimately, though, when you do look at Mugambala, it is much more likely as one of those maps to come out potentially in one of those best of 7 series. We've only seen one final so far. Not as much opportunity to see it. Maybe we see it a little bit later on, but the question is, can the boys weather the storm? Zico says yes. Supatis, how do you feel about that one? In particular, how do you think the storm actually does grab the W?
I mean, I think we are going to see Warlock mirrors. We saw the Cleaves in Europe, the Warrior Death Knights not doing too well or too hot into Destruction Warlocks, and Maldiva, I feel like maybe he mind games and actually goes Affliction, expecting Thugonomics as Destruction. At least in the past, Affliction has been quite effective at beating Destruction because it has instant cast damage and can more easily line of sight and keep up constant pressure. But against the Druids, I'm not sure if it's potent enough to do it, so it's unlikely. Just something I'm throwing out there, trying to come up with some possibilities that they can make, but it might not happen and probably won't. So Maldiva's performance on Destruction has been top-notch. I mean, Infernion in Europe was performing at a similar capability. I would probably mirror those players in terms of skill at the moment, but Thugonomics is kind of the original Destruction Warlock, and he may get his opportunity to defend that title here against Maldiva as they have a Chaos Bolt showdown, which is definitely interesting.
Okay, so I guess it was, what, a couple months ago when we were back last season. I'm sitting here like a crazy person talking about Warlocks. It's all around basically UD and things like that to actually, or sorry, ID if you're going to see a Warlock or not. It was Affliction. Now we see so many of these Destruction Warlocks. Why are they looking so strong in this season?
Well, they like I said earlier today, they just have so much different crowd control as well as burst damage. Their consistent damage is relatively good. Also, they have a lot of haste, so their fear cast is really, really quick. They also have multiple schools of magic, so if you interrupt Chaos Bolt, which is a huge threat, you just get spam feared, and then the interrupt on Chaos Bolt fades, and they can just cast Chaos Bolt anyways. Then they have Mortal Coil to set up their team. They have Shadow Fury as well. Lots of different diminishing returns, and then they're just so incredibly tanky with that Demon Skin, which was added in the last patch. They have so much health as well as armor. They're not really a great target to attack, and if you don't attack them, you get punished so hard, and if you do attack them, they don't die, so it's kind of a double-edged sword.
Demon Armor seems to be that kicker that has really propelled them into the forefront here, Z.
Yeah, I mean, what it comes down to essentially was we didn't really see them at BlizzCon last year in those global finals because Warlocks were very, very weak against those melees, those double melee compositions. Like we saw from Method Orange, for example, had a very easy time essentially dismantling Warlocks. Now, the strength of Warlocks has always been against other casters. You have, like Van Ruki already alluded to, a lot of interrupts with the Death Coil and the Spell Locks, and these spammable interrupts and CCs that they have has always made them very, very good against other casters. But if you wanted to counter a Warlock, you just needed to bring on a melee. Now with Demon Armor, of course, you get more HP, you get a whole bunch of extra armor as well, and that's gonna just make you it's gonna make Warlocks stronger in their weakest department. It's just gonna round them up. Now they're good against casters, and they're gonna be good against those melees as well. And now it seems to be that the only thing that really does take down those Warlocks is those Rogues Mage combos.
Yeah, I think it is one of those cases where you look at the Warlock and they kind kind of have that Batman utility belt on when it does come to playing against casters. A lot of tools to shut them down and to perform well against them. But sometimes when you do get to melee still, even with everything that you do have now with Demon Armor, mobility is going to be very important. And we know Maldiva right now is going to want to get positioned right in the middle of the field half the time so he can charge up those giant Chaos Bolts. It's about a 50-50 split in the Twitch chat as to who we think is going to take it, but the boys not opting in to the Warlock Mirror.
Yeah, I like this from the boys, playing the Windwalker Death Knight setup. They're going to be sitting on Maldiva in this game. The only problem is we've seen Nesper with his Fan of Knives Spec to be able to put out tons of damage on 2 targets at the same time. But Smexon, once again, playing the Dark Simulacrum, so if he can steal even a Chaos Bolt or a Fear, it's going to be huge for his team in this matchup.
All right, interesting start here for Maldiva, getting stunned up on his Infernal timing. And he wants to get as many soul shards used as possible, so that's what that rain of fire raining down from the sky is. That then will amplify the damage of his incoming Chaos Bolts, and he's got a couple moments here to make a move. He's setting it up. One Chaos Bolt is going to connect onto Chun-Li. The next one could just find a kill if he's not careful. Chun-Li rolls out of line of sight, avoiding it and stalling it out, and Maldiva hop skipping away, but can't get in line of sight in time to get it off. And this is the weakness of the Destruction Warlock. While he may have the Batman utility belt, he does not have the Batmobile.
Yeah, Chun-Li caught into a kidney shot right now, commits the touch of Karma on Maldiva, still trying to get the pressure rolling. He gets interrupted. Vendetta has been used by Nesper, but really no damage going to be put on the boys in this current situation.
As we move forward in this match, mana is fairly even on both fronts. Gorecki caught in kidney shot, and Storm looked to switch targets. Gorecki dealt with all of the train that Snuts that was running over him in the game before, so I feel like it's unlikely, although maybe he's a little bit irritated from being attacked so often. Chun-Li now getting bolted down by Maldiva. Seems to just be marching forward and disrespecting the Destruction Warlock space. Nesper drops the smoke bomb to try and punish this overextension. Maledict's committed as well. Not enough. Chun-Li escapes, managing to slip to safety.
Yeah, Diffuse Magic will be enough to prevent the damage coming in from Maldiva, as well as remove that Maledict trinket that does reduce incoming healing as well as do damage. So nicely done by Chun-Li, not overreacting in that situation. Maldiva still just being trained down. If you look at mana, it's actually relatively even, which is impressive. You would think that Chun-Li and Smexon would be dealing more damage, but still Maldiva and Nesper making sure to counter pressure quite a bit in this matchup.
Touch of Death activated. Big boost of pressure here for Chun-Li. Maldiva deflecting once again with that double Mortal Coil, generating more Chaos Bolts, but getting shut down by Chun-Li. Nice triple stun play here by the boys. They are setting up off the back of this to pressure for Maldiva's Unending Resolve, a powerful damage reduction cooldown, but simply not enough damage to do so, at least not before dampening. And actually in reversal, Storm managed to pull 2 powerful cooldowns from the boys, which is a bit of a surprise. Now as we move deeper into dampening, I'm not sure who I really give this to. I mean, Storm found a triple kill against the rejects, but at the same time, we've seen the boys develop tons of pressure deep in dampening, and it's kind of hard to predict.
I really think that as it stands right now, Storm are on the back foot. Nesper, he does have his Vendetta active here onto Chun-Li, who doesn't actually have any of his defensives available, but Gorecki should be able to deflect that easily before dampening. And if you take a look at Metaphor's mana, I think that's going to be the big deal breaker here. The longer the game goes on, I think Metaphor's mana is going to start to suffer as he sits down for a drink.
We've seen so much of that pressure, too, come off of that Havoc coil play over and over again, trying to set up that double coil. But now Maldiva going to be the one on the chopping block. Doesn't have to trade out that Unending Resolve yet. We are going to see Metaphors, though, having to use one of his big cooldowns to keep Maldiva safe.
Yeah, and Chun-Li as well. Both sides trading blows equivalently at this point, and it's quite difficult to predict who will win. Zico points out the mana advantage, and it is slowly more in favor of the boys, but in terms of pressure, Storm are ahead. Maldiva's raining down destruction. These Chaos Bolts are devastating. Chun-Li needs to get out of there, rolling back around the corner. Maldiva trying to hop over there, but not able to find it. This next Chaos Bolt is now no longer that big of a threat as his Dark Soul has faded.
That was actually 3 trinkets right there overlapped on the side of the boys. There is a big opening for Storm when that Vendetta comes up for Nesper in about 38 seconds.
Yeah, and that is definitely going to be something they need to pay attention to in this matchup. Nesper has to use his evasion as he's taking a little bit of damage as well. Chun-Li opting to play the White Tigers. When the White Tiger in this matchup, it's going to give him a little bit of added burst damage. I think it might be what they need to push Maldiva over the edge, especially later on in the game.
All right, at this point, Smexon's caught in center field, but able to line of sight now, fortunately, and avoid Maldiva. Mana has evened out between the Druids, Metaphors, and Gorecki. No real edge there on either side. Momentum swinging in favor of the boys, though, with 2 members low on health. Gorecki's trying to set up something here with a bash on Metaphors, but not able to follow it up, and now Nesper intercepts, denying the chain, breaking it up, and allowing Metaphors to breathe. When we move into dampening, with how much damage both of these teams deal, it's going to get chaotic quickly.
Yeah, I would guess that this matchup doesn't go as deep into dampening. I would guess it ends around 20%. Both Chun-Li, Smexon do a lot of AoE damage, so when Nesper's there trying to defend Maldiva, Nesper has to be careful he's not getting caught into the Fists of Fury. Turbo Fist is going to do a lot of damage to both of them, and it is going to tax Metaphor's mana quite a bit.
This is also one of those fights where we do see it constantly coming down to the same setups, and it does appear to be somewhat on the script. Zico, when do we see one of these teams attempt to really break up that rhythm?
Well, it's going to be whenever we can see Metaphors. You can see at the top right of your screen that Iron Bar cooldown is available for him right now. As soon as that cooldown gets used, before Chun-Li uses that Touch of Death, that red cooldown under his frame, about 20 seconds left on that one. When that happens, you are going to be seeing Maldiva be in big trouble, and Maldiva doesn't actually have his biggest defensive cooldown, that unending resolve. Going to be about 1 minute and 15 seconds left on that one. So as soon as there is an opening very soon, should the boys be able to grab that Iron Bark as they make an attempt to do just that now.
Yeah, they're really trying to force it, but they're not finding it. Metaphor's playing 40 yards away out in the open, so if they switch to him, then Maldiva will be able to free cast terror onto the team of the boys. Storm looking to keep their dreams alive. They're only a 3-man roster with 1 composition in a tournament filled with versatile veterans, and I'm not sure if they have what it takes to go all the way, but they're going to try their hardest. Metaphor's finally maybe making an aggressive move. That's the one thing that I think they need on their team, is a bit more aggressive Druid plays. I mean, he's completely left open here. He could be going for bashes, maybe even cyclones, and that's something that the Druids in Europe have been doing and showcasing quite a lot, and it seems to be that the North American Druids are not following suit, or at least not in this specific matchup. Obviously, Metaphor's playing more of a dampening comp, but there are opportunities that he's not taking.
Yeah, Chun-Li is on 50% health right now. Of course, Gorecki's going to have to be able to top him off. He does have the Iron Bark at 15% dampening. Maldiva starting to get low. Still does have the Unending Resolve. Nice leg sweep coming in. Metaphors has a lot of work ahead of him. Unending Resolve does get pulled out. Another one of the Maledict trinkets is going to be used, as well as a lot of that healing reduction coming in from the Necrotic Strike of Smexon. Now, Kitty Shot on Smexon as Nesper's looking to counter pressure quite a bit. The Fan of Knives damage coming in from Nesper is significant on Chun-Li and Smexon, forcing Gorecki to heal quite a bit.
All right, crowd control and Metaphor. Smexon was able to take a fear from Maldiva and follow it up. This is a critical error on the side of Storm, and an opportunity for the boys to snag a quick victory here in game 1. Now Metaphor's bashed up by Gorecki. No follow-up, I don't think, and it's not enough damage to pin down Maldiva just yet. Although as dampening gets ramped up higher and higher, I'm curious to see if maybe potentially there's a cross kill. Currently, Maldiva is the one that's falling behind. Iron Bark has been used now. Touch of Death should be available. There'll be about a 10-second window for Chun-Li to seize that opportunity. And now we really need to look for it. That red icon, 28 more seconds, and Chun-Li has an opening. Maldiva needs to prepare for it. Trying to escape, but gripped right back into the fight by Smexon. Nesper doing as much counter pressure as he can before critical mass is about to hit. 16 seconds away. Nesper needs to get a kill before that point in the match. Gorecki has managed to stall it out to allow them to get aggressive. 9 more seconds, 8 more seconds. Suddenly Maldiva topped off there by a very big heal, but still Touch of Death may be more than enough. Chun-Li now has a 15-second window to commit. He's going all in. They have to kill Maldiva in this 10-second timing. Will they find it? Nesper needs to stall it out just a little longer. longer, but I'm not sure if he'll be able to. Dampening so high, Metaphor's powering through it with regrowth after regrowth, costing a lot of his mana. His Innervate just available, likely to be activated. No, he's actually sneaking away for a drink. That Touch of Death didn't even dent Maldiva, and now suddenly I've seen this situation before against Rubcub. Gorecki, how are you going to deal with this impending triple kill?
Yeah, Chun-Li needs to play aggressive in this situation. He has the Touch of Karma and Diffuse. Spexing can't be left alone into the kidney shot. They need to continue the pressure on Maldiva. I don't think there's an opportunity to reset, but Gorecki gets left out. Chun-Li commits the Diffuse Magic. 30% dampening. Gladiator Safeguard. Chun-Li trying to run away. Nesper all over him, though. Maldiva is just a brick wall in this matchup. Chun-Li and Spexen try to take him down. Chun-Li finally getting in line of sight, but that's the Infernal, the Demon Soul from Maldiva. Anti-Magic Zone, the last line of defense for the boys to stay alive in game number 1 as they continue their assault on Maldiva.
All right, Chaos Bolts are flying, and potentially the dreams of the boys will be dying, but they've got one more chance here. Good crowd control. Maldiva's in trouble. Double Mortal Coil. The Maledicts are flying in, soaking up a ton of healing, and Maldiva will eventually get destroyed here at 32% dampening, and the boys were playing from behind, but they found opportunity to strike, now leading in the series 1-0.
It's the boys, and ultimately, Zico, you said that you believe they were going to be able to take down this series and potentially even the entirety of the tournament, but we didn't get into the details of why. Why do you think that they are favored in this particular matchup?
Well, these guys are the melee cleaves experts, and we've seen I don't recall exactly which team it was, but we saw Storm play against a melee cleave previously, and it was just a completely different game. Maldiva really wasn't under much pressure. That's not going to be the case when you have Smexin stealing some of those fears. You can see Chun-Li as well, a true master of that Windwalker Monk. Is able to put out so much pressure, and what it comes down to, even if you don't kill, when you find those opportunities, when the Iron Bark is down and the Unending Resolve is down, you are going to be forcing the Restorer to just expend so much mana, keeping Maldiva up, and you can just safely reset. As long as you prevent Metaphors from getting those drinks, you're going to be able to win even in the long run as well. So the reason why I think the boys are going to win, the short answer is I think their comp, if they execute on it the way they have been, they should be able to win based on that. And of course, we don't see any other comp options here from Storm. So if you beat that one comp that they have, you pretty much beat the entire team, it feels like.
Exactly. And one of the things that we have seen Maldiva do really well, though, to even get in this position with his team, with Storm, is every single time Maldiva sees a lot of pressure coming into him, he usually is sitting on things like his Infernal, like his Dark Soul, which is enabling him to basically say, all right, come at me. You're not going to get a good trade here. That's what I'm going to use my cooldowns. Is that something that we still have seen in this matchup, or is the pressure coming in from the boys completely made Maldiva change his playstyle?
Well, I feel like Maldiva, the way he's playing, he is doing exactly what you said. He's trying to counter pressure the best he can. Sometimes, if he's under too much pressure, Chun-Li and Spexen have a little bit too much uptime. He's falling behind. It's really important that he has the Infernal, he has the Dark Soul to actually get out significant damage, to force them away, to give Metaphor an opportunity to actually top him off in the game. And I think that's what he's doing. I think it's the game plan he needs to have. That's what the best Destruction Warlocks do. Just throwing out your cooldowns when you're at 100% health is not necessarily the best thing, because then what happens is Spexen and Chun-Li, they get really comfortable running in, committing the Touch of Death, Touch of Karma offensively, so they can play really, really aggressive, and there's really just not too much counter pressure they have to deal with.
There are multiple things that happen there, right? All of a sudden, you make their goes a lot cleaner, and their goes are a lot harder to get away from because you're a Destruction Warlock, and then on top of that, you're sitting there and you need to turret out Chaos Bolts. So when they know that they're not going to get a good trade into that. They're going to able to just break line of sight. On this map in particular, they're going to hide behind a box. And no big surprise here by the boys' composition.
I don't know why Storm went for Dalaran Sewers in particular. I would have thought that that's a favorable map for the Windwalker Death Knight. Do you guys not agree with that?
I actually, you know, if you didn't say that there, I would have assumed that was who picked the map. That is a little bit off color. Zico, why do you think we are seeing Dalaran Sewers get picked by Storm?
It's got to be a takeaway, but it's not a very good takeaway unless you're planning on changing your composition here, because like you guys already mentioned, this is the best map in the pool for the boys. So it's definitely shooting yourself in the foot if you plan on playing that Rogue Lock Druid, which I'm pretty sure that they're going to be playing. I really don't know why Storm would want to take the fight here, but they most likely would be playing on Dalaran if they were to play on a big map and win. So it's got to be a takeaway, but it just doesn't make that much sense unless there's also a comp swap to accompany that takeaway.
All right, I never just sit there and talk about everything that they have, but I think in this situation maybe it makes sense. Metaphor is the only other thing he has a shaman, which probably makes no sense here. Maldiva, I think he has Shadow Priest Moonkin.
Yeah,
makes no sense at all.
For some reason, I was actually thinking Affliction on like a good Warlock map might actually work, but I haven't seen it played in the not here right now, but in this specific matchup against this comp, it might be better than Destruction.
That's what it's like queuing with Sid sometimes.
I don't know.
Like,
I swear it might be. I've played with Maldiva's Affliction. He knows how to play it. Now you can get Inevitable Demise as well as the Agony trait, so you can get some sustain and some single target burst. So it's I mean, it can't contend with the Druid Hots. No, it definitely can't. Not until Dampening. But I think Affliction makes it further into Dampening than Destruction.
What you do? You do double ID and then the 4-stack Agony.
I think so.
Yeah, and then so basically what Sid is saying, and we're not going to see that here, but he's basically saying you go for a trait that allows you to ramp up. Your dots are going to build stacks for you, and it's going to give you really big drain life. So it gives you some healing, but also it gives you goes.
I'll tell you the reason why I don't like it is because as a Destruction Warlock, you have the Havoc Mortal Coil, which keeps you alive. You have the Shadow Fury, and not only that, you have multiple schools of magic. So as an Affliction Warlock, if you get interrupted on UA, you can't do anything. If you get interrupted on Fear, you can't do anything. As a Destruction Warlock, it's completely different. If you get interrupted on Fear, you're still a huge threat with Chaos Bolt, and you can force them to interrupt Chaos Bolt so you can spam Fears to keep yourself alive. So I just don't know if Affliction would be able to live as long.
I also think... go ahead, Zika.
Well, it just comes down to what Sid even said during the cast. There's no Batmobile on this Warlock, and you're playing against a Windwalker and a Death Knight. They are going to be sitting on that Warlock the entirety of the game. How do you even get out a Drain Life channel, even if it's a big map and you cross all the way to the other side and you start casting it? Either you're going to get outranged or Chun-Li is going to ride the wind all over to where you are, and then you're not going to get away from him because he's going to keep snaring you until that Death Knight actually reaches you.
That was actually pretty close to exactly what I was going to say. When you look at those ID setups, even when that was the way you played Warlock back last season, it almost seemed like a gimmicky win condition. It wasn't something that you could perfectly set up. You need everything to go your way to find the win. When Destruction Warlocks have such strong goes, whether it is based off the Inferno or the Dark Soul, you have something that's going to consistently give you a win in Dampening. It's not cheese at all. It is just strong, as we do see the opener start to begin here.
We are in the lower bracket between the team of the boys and the team of Storm. They both got knocked down here by the Super Frogs, which is who they will meet in the grand final best of 7 to determine the champion of the North American Cup #1. Method Black took first place in Europe, and we are moments away from deciding North America's results as well. You do not want to go anywhere here. The map selection from Storm is a bit peculiar and could easily backfire, and we have predicted at the desk that the boys are going to likely advance and maybe take it all the way to the finals, and I'm curious to see if Mugambala ends up being the Game 7 map, and at that point Zico is just a prophet, so let's see if it happens.
I actually just saw something interesting. I think Gorek is playing the Feral Affinity. It makes sense actually, because none of these druids are being tested at all, so it would make sense to see either a Moonkin Affinity or a Feral Affinity on either of them, and I'm not sure.
I love playing Feral Affinity, and with the pace of the game at the moment, it could be an opportunity, but I believe we got confirmation that he is not running Feral Affinity, so that cheeky choice by Gorecki is not going to be made here just yet, at least, and maybe not at all. Good crowd control here by the boys. Smexon once again with great Dark Simulacron play, putting Maldiva quite heavily far behind, and now recovering, but exchanging one of his most powerful defensive cooldowns for the team of that Unending Resolve. Infernals have landed, Dark Soul available. Maldiva looking to try and find an opportunity to just blast off, but not finding it here yet.
This is what we were talking about. So Maldiva at the beginning of the game, he dropped his Infernal, and you know what Chun-Li, Smexon, and Gorecki did? They just ran away. Actually, Maldiva still in some trouble. Ironbark not available, and then just take him down.
Wait. There is no dampening.
I did not expect that.
Sid wanted him to play Affliction.
But this is what? This is actually why.
I actually can't believe
It's because he can't move, but Affliction at least has Demonic
Yeah,
Circle.
you could port
But it's an important map. Like, it's a very specific map, and it's a very specific matchup where I think Affliction would be good. I'm just
kidding around with you, Sid. I'm just kidding around with you, but ultimately, that's not how we expect that one to go.
Yeah, what I was going to say is what was really important about that matchup is Maldiva, he used his Infernals really early on for no reason. Chun-Li and Smexen, they had no pressure, so he used his offensive not as counter pressure, and that's exactly what you have to do as the Destruction Warlock. You can't be throwing away those cooldowns.
Well, just look at that grip as well from Smexen right there. This is why this map is terrible if you're a Warlock playing into those Death Knights. Smexen with ease can just walk out of line, grip you even further out of line, and then the Warlock not going to be able to actually move back like that. And it all comes down to that win condition that we keep talking about as well. The Unending Resolve and the Iron Bark are overlapped. And then the other big thing to mention here is Gorecki actually for once pushed in on Metaforce, bashed him up, landed a couple of Cyclones, and voila, there is infinitely more pressure on their side because of that.
I think we could list off so many different things that caused that to go wrong, but ultimately, does it just come back to the idea that that was the worst map pick that we've potentially seen in the entire tournament? It doesn't make sense. Maybe it's one of those things where it is the 200 IQ play, and it just didn't go the right. Okay, worst map pick potentially in the entire tournament, and that may seal the fate of this team. We're going to be jumping to a quick break. Last one flew right by, and now this map may be a fit.
I was joking.
You're going to steal my line? You're going to steal my line?
I'm sorry, say it.
Ruins of Lordaeron, as it is a cemetery, would be a fitting final resting place. As you can tell, the boys are more than eager to get back to the grand finals and have an opportunity to take it all.
Well, I was actually joking when we went to commercial and saying, I wonder if if Storm are going to be picking Ruins of Lordaeron as the next map, and here we are. They actually do it.
I don't know what they're thinking right now. Ben, do you have any ideas?
Well, I think this map isn't as bad because Maldiva can at least play in the open. There's no boxes he's going to get gripped behind out of line of sight. Metaphor should be able to stay in that LOS, but Maldiva's kind of charging in right now. I don't really like the positioning he has. I guess he put.
Why did he go to this side? This is the worst part of the map. There's a bunch of tombstones that can be used as line of sight. This is not where you want to be.
It makes no sense. Like, if you're going to pick this map, I think just sitting in the open is probably the best thing to do. I guess everyone's kind of stacked up in this position. Gorecki taking a little bit of damage with the Infernals, but I don't like what Maldiva did. He dropped his Infernals again. I want him to be using that when he's actually in a little bit of trouble, but it looks like they want to get aggressive. Are they going to be able to take Gorecki down? What is happening right now? Barkskin, Iron Bark, AMZ going to be dropped out to keep Gorecki alive.
Normally see a Warlock trying to out-aggress a Death Knight cleave, but I guess that's their strategy is I'm going to stand on top of you and kill you, maybe? Chun-Li, amazing premeditated move there, getting that touch of karma right before being stunned. That's going to allow him to continue staying aggressive, and Maldiva's put further behind, and the positioning is just not good. The maps are not good. The positioning is not good. He needs to gate into the middle of the map. Like Chun-Li, and look at Smexen and Chun-Li. That tombstone right next to him. You just go run around the corner and no Chaos Bolt for you. And just like that, Maldiva's still finding a couple at least, but it would be so much more favorable to play towards the gates out in the open than on this hill with so many points of line of sight.
This is what happens too. Metaphor's just on top of them with this positioning. Like, honestly, I feel like Storm is literally throwing this game because anytime Chun-Li wants to, he can incapacitate. Smexen can grip him. They can get the double leg sweep. Normally, you want the Druid and the Warlock very far away, so that becomes a hassle for the Windwalker Death Knight to set up. But I feel like if they consistently get these goes, especially a little bit later on in the game, it's going to become devastating. Maldiva already trading out his Unending Resolve. You have Touch of Death coming up in 50 seconds. Zwen coming up in 20 seconds for Chun-Li. It's going to be unhealable damage.
I actually think that there's a pretty clear win condition. If Gorecki was playing Feral Affinity now, he is under zero pressure. He could just go behind that tomb, re-stealth, go up, stun Maldiva, bash Metaforce, press Cyclone, incapacitate Metaforce after he has no trinket, win.
I mean, yeah, easier said than done. Maybe especially because
he's doing it right now.
All right, there we go. We get the bash on Metaphors. Maldiva taking quite a bit of damage. Looking for a Chaos Bolt out of his Mortal Coil. Kidney Shot on Chun-Li. He has Trinket and Karma, but he's just going to stay alive with that Gladiator Safeguard for now. Not trading really too much out. Gorecki doesn't have the Iron Vector to top him off just yet. But look, Metaphors right on top of Maldiva. Can easily be interrupted. They can do their setups, the grip sweeps. I don't know, but still, somehow, some way, Storm's finding the proper pressure on Chun-Li, forcing out the Touch of Karma and the Iron Bark.
I mean, they're just going all out to kill Chun-Li. Storm are doing a lot more damage, even though their map selection is strange, odd, and really not advantageous, and their position is neither. Their damage is good, and it's definitely something to commend because they are forcing Smexen and Chun-Li defensive, even in this dense Resto Druid meta where it is likely to extend to dampening. They are creating a lot of moments of opportunity. Nesper might have overextended, but catches a stun. Maldiva setting up, but gets shut down by Smexen. Still, both targets low on health. I'm wondering if they're doing this on purpose to bait Gorecki to stand on top so Nesper can Fan of Knives 3 targets. Maybe they just feel they do more damage than a Death Knight Windwalker standing on top of each other, but I don't know if I agree with that logic.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that logic either, but so far it has been looking good. Kidney Shot on Smexen. Unending Resolve for Maldiva is going to be coming up in 15 seconds. Metaphor still has his Trinket. No Iron Bark available, though. There is an opportunity here for Chun-Li as one's coming up shortly. Once again, Infernal Speed get dropped out. Chaos Bolt looking to hit Chun-Li. He has to run away, so Chun-Li's going to run across the map behind the tomb. It looks like the boys, they've been taking too much damage. They're looking for a reset in this fight. They want to buy Gorecki a moment to breathe, fully top off before they reinitiate.
Metaphor is actually sitting down for a drink. This is quite big. Gorecki is going to have to counter that with a drink of his own, and I think he is doing it right now. So the game is going to pretty much reset completely. Everyone's going to have all of their cooldowns back up in about 20 seconds when Chun-Li gets that trinket ready.
The one thing you can't hide from is dampening, as we have just stepped in. 2%. The last game was really quick. I think one of the only games in the last couple series that didn't go into dampening, so could expect this game to end at really any moment. I mean, it really depends how aggressive the boys want to be. If they push in, use all their cooldowns, maybe they can take Maldiva down once again, but we did see some overlap, which is what ultimately caused Maldiva to go down so early.
I did not know you could put a gateway from the top of that hill on top of the tombstone. I learned something new today. You know, they say that you learn something new every day. Maldiva with a cheeky gateway positioning. I'm curious to see how he uses that later on, whether it be to chase down the team or escape to safety. Occurs at this moment that they want to get really aggressive as Maledict trinkets have been committed, absorbing a lot of Metaphor's healing and potentially getting a kill as they need to be careful. They're not trading. Maldiva dips low. He's able to get a nice Chaos Bolt off, though, off the back end of that spell lock on Gorecki, trying to get some counter pressure. Chun-Li dipping low as well as more Chaos Bolts fly forward. Chun-Li is trying to hide, but Nesper's all over him. Fist of Fury parrying the attacks with that Turbo Fist. Nice move. Gorecki, though, it looks like he wants to get in there. He's going to jump in on Metaphors.
This is going to be the unending result for sure. Chun-Li has his Touch of Death activated, and there it is. Now, Metaphors doesn't have his Iron Bark as well, so the next time Smexen has big damage, that could already be the ending of this game.
Yeah, I think Chun-Li's going to be a little bit scared, though, with no Touch of Karma, no Diffuse Magic, no defensive cooldowns. Gorecki really has to carry, although he has no Trinket, so if he gets caught in any crowd control, it could be devastating. Smexen really hasn't been stealing too many fears this game with the Dark Simulacron. Maldiva positioned so far away. This is really interesting. I think with the way this positioning is, if Chun-Li and Smexen push in on Maldiva while he's behind this little hill, Gorecki actually cannot heal him without moving in deep, and maybe that's what the strategy that they're going for in this game.
You see Gorecki moving forward, looking for crowd control, and nails it on Metaphors. Now, can Chun-Li and Smexen generate pressure is the question, and it does not appear to be the case. Nesper has been using kidney shots on Gorecki on cooldown instead of defensively. This is a difference in strategy than we saw previously, and it's more risky, but it's creating pressure. So I have to commend him. Being on match points and potentially going home using these abilities aggressively is a risk, but maybe a necessary one.
So here's one of the things about the way Chun-Li's playing. With the Touch of Death, with the Zwen, it doesn't evenly trade with Unending Resolve for Maldiva. So the next time that's up in 40 seconds, Maldiva's not going to have that available, and that might be the damage they need to push them over. So Metaforce has to make sure he holds on to his Iron Bark as long as possible. Nesper still doing a good job keeping pressure on Gorecki. Chun-Li rotting down, Smexen rotting down as well. Nesper coming back, trying to spread damage onto everyone. Smoke Bomb does get dropped. Chun-Li uses the Touch of Karma. Here's the Infernals. Sparks starting to fly in this matchup.
That's going to be a bit nerve-wracking from this point onward with dampening so high. The boys are on match point, but the Storm have found their footing, and they're creating a ton of pressure currently here in the face of Gorecki. Finally, Metafor's getting aggressive, landing a stun on Gorecki, forcing his Gliders Medallion and creating more pressure, and that's the change that Storm needs to make, is just getting a little bit more aggressive. Look at this momentum. They're finally having damage, and they can maybe have an opportunity. Gorecki now taking to the Tombstone, that gateway at the top. I'd love to see them maybe take that and get on top of Gorecki and close this game out while there's an opportunity. There's Touch of Death. There's no real answer for it. They're going to make the move. Do they have enough damage? Nesper intercepts, denying it for now. There's a full blind. Nothing left for Chun-Li. They're right on top of him. Mortal Coils. Maldiva needs some Chaos Bolts. Where are they? Not going for it at the back end of that Mortal Coil. There's the Gateway. Death Grip instantly back on it. Unfortunate for Maldiva. He was trying to set up a cool play, but Smexen immediately shuts him down.
Yeah, but now Maldiva casting Chaos Bolts, fakes the Mind Freeze, allowing Metaforce to actually get off a few casts here potentially. Chun-Li still rotting down. Good pressure from Nesper. They're all stacked up. This is not the spot you want to be against an Assassination Rogue who is playing the Fan of Knives specialization. Double stun coming in from Chun-Li as they're looking to get aggressive with the Storm, Earth, and Fire on Maldiva. He has the Unending Resolve. Is he going to use it? Triple Shadow Fury. Chaos Bolt on Chun-Li. He has to hold on 2 more seconds for that Touch of Karma, but it looks like the boys, they want to close out this game. They have a lot of momentum on Maldiva. Stun now on Metaforce. He's almost completely but the boys, this is do or die for them. They have to push in. Here's when Unending Resolve gets dropped out by Maldiva. So much pressure for both teams, but Gorecki manages to stabilize just a little bit. Is Metaforce going to be able to do the same? He gets interrupted by Smexen. Still looking for more healing. He doesn't have it at 30% dampening. Thorns gets used on Maldiva. He's doing everything he can to survive. Chun-Li and Smexen just need to find a little bit more damage.
This game is going to be coming to a close here shortly as Maldiva's team are match point. If they lose this, they're going home in 3rd place. The boys will have a second chance, and they look to be reignited here in the lower bracket to take out the Super Frogs in the grand final. Metaforce has a significant mana loss here against Gorecki, but finally secures a bash. These aggressive stun locks might just be enough for Storm to put at least a point on the board against the boys. Chun-Li holding on at the edge. Currently, Smexen supports him, but even still, Nesper's damage may be too high. Dark Soul gets activated. Maldiva is ready to go. They're desperately trying to escape across the map. Maybe Maldiva can use that Demonic Gateway, that positioning to get on top of the Tombstone and rain terror, but not able to in this position. Chun-Li, Smexen restabilize. The lead is established, and Metaforce is in trouble. How much longer can he keep Maldiva going?
Incapacitate on Maldiva, just trying to slow down some damage. Chun-Li's still in a lot of trouble. In 10 seconds, he's going to feel very confident to push forward what the Touch of Death and the Touch of Karma, offense and defense, be able to put on Maldiva. Metaforce, I think, no, he's sitting in cat form right now. Gorecki pushes in for the game-winning bash, but there's a Smoke Bomb. Chun-Li manages to get the Touch of Karma before the Kidney Shot. Very nicely done. Double Mortal Coil on Smexen, on Chun-Li. Chun-Li still in a lot of trouble. Gorecki does have the Iron Bark. He doesn't want to trade it out too late. Chun-Li and Smexen, they need to play aggressive here. Maldiva still getting lower. Every one of these interrupts at this point in dampening is so devastating for Maldiva as he runs away, trying to overextend Gorecki one more time. Metafor's in a good spot to keep him topped off, trying to get some heals on Maldiva. No Iron Bark. Kidney Shot on Chun-Li. He trinkets. He's trying to run away, but I don't know. With this amount of dampening, Gorecki, how are you going to hold on?
I don't know. Nesper's basically just destroying the boys at the moment with all 3 members in danger. Mana completely evened out as Storm may be able to put a point on the board and keep their tournament hopes and dreams alive as they battle it out to the bitter end. Smexen locked down. He breaks out, trying to create some counter pressure, but that moment of opportunity will be lost shortly if they can't take Maldiva out soon. Nesper with the playmaking kick interrupt, denying heals from Gorecki, potentially going to be able to take them down, but Maldiva still low. Nice gate, but Smexen instantly grips him back into his clutches, and Maldiva cannot get away. Metafor's in a cyclone. Maldiva in desperation to reverse the pressure gets a Chaos Bolt to kill. Despite being so low, he manages to pull it off and stay in the tournament.
That was the beefiest bolt I think we have seen in a very long time. Maldiva going to return that pressure. He gets gripped on back. He says, not today. You see him, he's not able to cast anything. He finally gets the Shadow Fury. He has the opening, and that's enough to get the CC going to actually cast off that Chaos Bolt. And I want to ask one question here, Zico. We kept criticizing the maps, right? We criticized the map that we just saw. Then we see Ruins, and we say, hey, this doesn't really make much sense either. Is the reason that they are going for all of that off of the specialization of Nesper?
I think so, honestly. I think it's really hard for Maldiva to avoid that damage from these two melees anyway, so they were trying to position in a way where it would be very difficult for Goreki to actually go for these heals. But the problem is when you do a strategy like this, it actually opens up Goreki to get a lot of these drinks. However, I don't believe Goreki is playing a Night Elf, so it's not as easy to drop and get those drinks earlier on. Even though he is playing so far away, like I said, I would like to see Goreki actually play something more offensive, like the Feral Affinity, like the Munkin Affinity, because every single time he did land those clones, it was big trouble for Storm.
I think the racial is actually important to point out. I think Smexon's team is playing Horde.
Yeah.
They could be Alliance, have Shadow Meld to drink, have
Dwarf.
Dark Iron, have Dwarf for the Rogue, and just remove all of his bleeds and have more defense and then run Maldiva down.
Yep.
I actually think it's a big mistake to not have the Alliance racials in this specific scenario.
Dark Iron Dwarf sounds insane in this particular matchup as well. I think that's a very heads-up choice and definitely something to bring up. What do you really get with Horde, though, here?
Nothing.
Yeah.
Even for Chun-Li, he can play a relentless human monk and sit the same amount of... Actually, he will sit the same amount of stuns as an Orc monk would. And, I mean, Blood Elf monk without the silence isn't that effective. You can remove some of those hots and you get a little bit of more damage, but I think a human relentless monk would be way better. I think a dwarf a DK would be way better, and I think a Night Elf Druid also would be way better. And a Night Elf Druid paired with that Feral Affinity would also give Goreki not just the opportunity to go and drink more, but also the opportunity to go aggressive and set up more of these stun setups to actually win the game sooner.
Very important to take a look at here. We're going to have to pay attention to that when we do get in the arena. But Storm has extended this at least. They're going to Blackrock Hold. So once again, it's going to be tighter quarters. This time, it is pretty clear some of the things that you can do as a Warlock on this map. But Chun-Li going to have a lot of those at his disposal as well.
Yeah, that's true. At any moment, he can put his portal inside one of the rooms and Transcendence away to get out of line of sight. But we haven't seen him been doing that too much. They have been opting for more aggression in these maps, just trying to really ride the pressure that they get on Maldiva. It takes a lot of time, a lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of cooldowns to actually get Maldiva low. So as soon as you run away, you're basically allowing Maldiva to get a full reset, and you can't ride the sort of pressure and momentum you've been building up.
Maldiva's been playing very differently, though, too. I think a lot of the reason that we do see that, I go back to Nesper again, and the strategy that Nesper is playing. I think it's kind of forced Maldiva to a completely different dance, especially when you look at how he's using his Infernal Z.
Well, Maldiva is basically the goal, and Nesper is pretty much the goalkeeper or defender to try to prevent the enemy team from scoring that goal. So I would say Nesper is doing a good job. His main objective, of course, is going to be to apply pressure onto Smexin and to Chun-Li and just get those kidney shots and try to set up for Maldiva to get out those big, beefy Chaos Bolts. And then on the flip side, Maldiva, he's going to have to counter set up with those Infernals, with those coils to kind of fend for himself as well sometimes and set up his own damage.
You know a composition I kind of want to see from the boys right now is Smexin on a Fury Warrior. I think Fury Warrior Windwalker Monk could be good. I'm not sure if they got any changes recently, but I know Fury Warriors, they were able to do quite a bit of damage to Warlock, especially with high uptime. They have good self-healing as well.
Maybe before Demon Armor was...
Yeah.
I think Fury Warrior wouldn't have too much fun with that.
The 275% bonus armor is quite a bit.
It seems kind of bad, right? I don't think it'll work.
Maybe
I feel like it won't. I mean, Smexon's doing a lot of
Smexon would probably know better than me, but I just want to see him chopping things up.
We all want to see Smexon on Warrior, but I just think in the current state of Warlock, it's not.
He looks so good on the Death Knight, though, too. Like, he really did know exactly what he wanted to do at every time, just holding everything. You know, we joke around about different plays that we see him making on the Death Knight, comparing him to some of the players in EU, but I think Smexon's one of those guys that's very tough to compare him to other players, just always looking so good.
Smexon Smexen has, gameplay-wise and mechanically, with the Dark Sims and just in general when he's going offensive, when he's going defensive, all that stuff is top-notch from Smexen. But I want to criticize him for not picking Lichborn. Lichborn gives you an immunity to fear, and it is a 1-minute cooldown trinket. You lose the defense of that Icebound Fortitude, which you can see at the bottom of your screen next to that green little circle there. You lose that, which is it essentially is also pretty much like a trinket out of stuns, and it gives you a little bit of damage reduction, so it's a bit more defensive. But with the Lichborn, he's gonna have a lot more uptime here and be able to do a lot more damage.
I think Smexen dropped Dark Simulacron for potentially Raise Abomination. I don't think he's been playing that. It's a really hard-hitting attack, and especially against a Warlock that can't move. I'm curious if he's decided to switch out for it, or maybe why he wouldn't in the first place. He is activating a ton of damage and looking for an early kill. Storm are still on the ropes here. They're on match point against the boys. They have to win 2 more games in a row, and the pressure is quite high. Yes, he is running that Raise Abomination. That's going to be a lot more damage that Metaphors needs to deal with early on.
Yeah, especially late game, that damage is really going to add up if they can bring it that far. Maldiva looking for some Chaos Bolts, activating the Dark Soul. Chaos Bolt number 2. Nice Ring of Peace from Chun-Li. You can actually use a Ring of Peace as a ranged interrupt to sort of knock Maldiva around. High-level Windwalker play by Chun-Li.
Chun-Li is low, but they're resetting. Metaphors Maldiva going back to the room, so it seems to be the same strategy. Try and bait Gorecki to move in so that Nesper can spam Fan of Knives on everybody. It worked for them, but it's a risky choice.
It definitely is. Kidney shot now on Chun-Li. Can Maldiva and Nesper find the damage? It doesn't look like it so far. Chun-Li marching forward, trying to keep up the pressure on Maldiva, but unfortunately not finding it just yet. Smexen death gripping him out of line of sight of Metaphors. Metaphors trying to reposition himself in line of sight, actually activating the Tranquility, but he's falling a little bit behind here. Still no Iron Bark available, almost up. There's a kidney shot on Gorecki. Actually trinketed out of blind, I believe, and Nesper immediately swapped to him, trying to punish that trinket, trying to keep the pressure up, and it seems like a key part in this matchup for Storm is Nesper keeping the pressure on Gorecki while Maldiva sort of rots down Chun-Li and Smexen.
Well, it just comes down again to that main win condition that the boys have. In the start of the match, we saw it, Smexen using his Raised Abomination, all of his damage cooldowns, forcing out the Iron Bark, and then we saw Chun-Li holding on to that Touch of Death, and then activating it now in an attempt to get the Unending Resolve. Didn't manage to bank it, so now they're going to have to wait for those cooldowns to come back up and make a new attempt of staggering their offensive CDs, which means that currently Storm is actually the one who are leading the attack. Nesper going to get an easy kidney shot onto Gorecki, and he's going to try to set up some big damage here.
All right, Metaphors gained Death Gripped in, but denied by Maldiva's Shadow Fury. Very well timed there on his part, and you can see the damage of Nesper's build on this Assassination Rogue really tearing up the boys, and maybe Storm can pull this off and reverse sweep for a rematch against the Super Frogs. It seemed like their map picks were questionable, but with this strategy and these Azerite trade talent combinations, Nesper seems to have found a way to navigate through the defense of the boys, and Fan of Knives is just doing so much damage to the team. Although mana is still equal, Nesper overextends, gets stunned, opts to break out and back in Metaphor's line of sight. Maldiva choosing to not overextend just yet, going to be going through the safety of that doorway rather than walking into the Death Knight, trying to get some space for some Chaos Bolts. Not dealing too much damage as Anti-Magic Shield soaks up one of them. Maldiva fake casts, lands another, looking for another, not able to get it. Triple stun set up by the boys as they try to burst down Maldiva. There are a lot of cooldowns to trade for this. It would be quite the blunder for Maldiva to go down, but not even needed as Metaphors lines up some big heals. Maldiva has damage available with Infernal and Dark Soul, so we need to look to see if he opts to pull the trigger on that. Gateway to escape the Abomination would be a good maneuver on Maldiva's part. That Abomination, the giant undead creature that's just smashing people. Maldiva can use Demonic Gateway to cross the map and escape to safety, as that Abomination does not move too fast.
Maldiva also probably doesn't want to use that just yet unless he's in trouble. It doesn't seem like the Abomination, really, the damage has been significant enough, but I do agree. Later on in the match, it definitely adds up, especially these moments where they get Maldiva to 20-30%. That could just be the end of the game instead. Full Cyclone secured on Metaphors. Maldiva might start taking a little bit of damage. Kidney shot on Chun-Li. He actually opts to trinket out. The Infernal's coming in from Maldiva as well, so this is scary for Chun-Li. He needs to kite away. He gets the Iron Bark from Gorecki, ports away just a little bit. For a lot of this game, they've just been using this little room. They've turned this map, Blackrock Arena, into just this little tiny room, using these pillars, that center piece, to line of sight and just avoid damage.
Metaphor's actually managed to run off there and get himself a nice drink. He actually has the mana lead now, and since we can't see the Warlock pet anywhere on this map, we can only assume that that pet is sitting on Goreki. If he had that Shadow Meld, anytime that Maldiva is taking pressure, like right now, he could just go, meld, have to reset, get a nice little drink off, and he actually is going for a drink right here. I do believe he's going to get that as well, so mana is going to be completely reset as Chun-Li takes a lot of damage.
Yeah, that is quite a lot of damage that Smexen was able to defend. Storm are showing signs of life in this series as their momentum is swinging. The boys, though, reverse the pressure here with some stun lock combos, and that Abomination smashing Maldiva's face. Maledix gets committed. Vortex pulls him away from his getaway. Metaphors is trying to power through as Dampening has entered the fray. That will reduce healing quite significantly. Chun-Li now getting reversed on as both teams continue swinging. They are definitely evenly matched. I think the X factor will be Metaphors going for more aggressive plays on Gorecki later into Dampening, such as one that he just initiated. But now Gorecki returns the favor with a bash of his own and maybe a Cyclone. Nesper is intercepting it and delaying it so Metaphors can get to safety. Very good interception, but now Nesper gets cloned on his way back. Gorecki jumps in to continue the chain, and nice moves by Gorecki. This is the kind of moves I want to see Metaphors make later in the game as well.
That's a big mistake by Nesper. It was actually used, I don't know if it was only a few combo points or with diminishing return on Gorecki, but that was definitely a loss in damage there for Nesper. Finally a full kidney shot secured on Gorecki. Chun-Li in a little bit of trouble too. Maldiva putting out pressure on Smexen, on Chun-Li. Meantime, Maldiva getting bursted down quite a bit from that touch of death, but Metaphor's feeling confident he can keep him alive, not even trading out his Iron Bark in this situation. Chun-Li has to run away. Nesper still doing a good job on this map. These little close quarter maps, Nesper really taking advantage of, and I think him being on Gorecki is just such a key part of this game.
Yeah, Nesper actually doing another DR, I can only assume, kidney shot right there on Smexen. Not gonna get too much work done with that. And look, Night Elf being so good. Meld, drink, but Chun-Li has the awareness to see that, drops him back into combat with that Ring of Peace, beautifully done. But there is a window now. If they can force out the Iron Bark with this setup right here onto Maldiva, then there's going to be a window with Touch of Death where they can take down Maldiva before he has that Unending Resolve, or with that Death Knight cooldowns.
Yeah, here's the Abomination. This could be the damage they need. Can they get the Iron Bark? They do manage to find it. Maldiva still getting low. The Abomination really ripping in. Like Sid said, maybe he wants to get away with that gateway, just getting so low. One Maledict trinket has been committed. Metaphors now into a bash. Even if he trinkets out, he doesn't really have that much healing. Chun-Li into the double stun, kitty shot into cheap shot, into cheap shot. Does get the touch of Karma, but doesn't trust it at this point. Dampening needs to kite away, avoid some damage. One Chaos Bolt would shred through that touch of Karma, leaving him very vulnerable in this matchup. So wants to kite away, allow those Wrestle Druid Hots to heal him up. Now can get aggressive once again, but Maldiva with the Chaos Bolt, with Dark Soul, still tons of pressure.
I think almost any other Warlock would have crumbled underneath this type of pressure, but Maldiva keeps it calm, cool, and collected despite being tunneled down and creates counter pressure, and that way just forces his opponents to run away from him and goes toe-to-toe constantly despite being heavily behind on cooldowns. Gorecki still has a mana lead, and I would say that the boys are favored in this position as the match continues onward. So the Storm are going to be playing from behind. Can they pull it off? Can they reverse sweep? Is today going to be the day of best of fives all the way to game 5? It may quite possibly be. So if you're just tuning in, there's still a lot of World of Warcraft action ahead in this match. I think the one critique we've made right here is the faction choice. So Metaphors playing Night Elf has access to a racial shadow meld. And before we begin explaining that, Maldiva is in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, Abomination available for Smexen once again. Maldiva decides to gate away this time. He does not want to tank through that damage. I think it's a very intelligent decision. And obviously that Abomination moves very slowly, so Smexen not going to get too much value out of that, but the next one could be devastating for Maldiva. Chun-Li going to be avoiding some of that damage with the line of sight. Nicely done, just making sure he can use that wall to get out of the line of sight. He kicks the fear. Maldiva tries to get the Chaos Bolt, but he's able to just line aside all of that damage. In the meantime, Smexen caught into a stun, has to use the Icebound Fortitude, but it was the Smoke Bomb from Nesper Maldiva still getting low. Metaphors had to trinket out of a bash there. No Iron Bark. Maldiva still dangerously low. He gets caught into the room. Beautifully done by Chun-Li. Grandmaster Windwalker Monk still trying to take him down. Gorecki charging in. This could just be the series. Metaphors nowhere to be found. Beautifully done by the boys, and they will get the rematch.
Finally, the boys are going to be able to make their way back up, but you got to give it up to the entire squad over on. You just look, and it's a newer team. You see Maldiva finally coming back to play, backed up by Metaphors and Nesper. They're a three-man roster. If they manage to get a fourth player, I could see them going very far, but it's so difficult when all of a sudden you're playing against the same composition, and if you do crack that code, you crack the entire team.
Yeah, it's really impressive performance from these guys, and they should be happy. They got a top 3 finish in the first cup. It's by any means more than you could really ask for. They're playing a 3-man roster, and they kind of just went in just trying to have fun here, I think. Nesper doing a phenomenal job as well on the Rogue. Maldiva again on that Warlock. And Gorecki, what a phenomenal way to end the series with that Hibernate. After he forces out Metaphors' Trinket on that Bash, I believe, earlier on. And as well, Chun-Li doing such a great job with these Rings of Pieces, always making sure that he is locking the team out of this, this room zone here.
Now, keep in mind, the boys obviously did get knocked down to play against Storm by the Super Frogs, and now they're going to be playing them again. But when we actually talked about how this series could go, it was very close the last time around. It came down to maps, which puts a lot of pressure, not only on the fact that the blind pick is going to be crucial, but also we have 7, best of 7, so the map pool is going to be thinned out much more quickly, which can have a big impact. But all in all, I just want to say major shout out to all of these teams. Very long day, and also you see in EU a bunch of new teams coming out really performing. The only team, though, that did stay together, they're going to be your champions. And now in North America, we're seeing some new teams